The drivers of the historic Formula Ford Championship and champions of various Formula Ford racing gather together for a photograph ahead of the first of 4 races on this 50th anniversary weekend for the category, for rounds 5 and 6 of the 2017 HSCC Historic Formula Ford Championship. The drivers competing in the heat that will start this weekend off go toward their cars. Car 73, Ed Thurston, will go off from pole, and alongside him, Rob Smith. The grid walk ahead of this race allowed circuit commentator Marcus By grab a word with the drivers. We can take a look at the grid. So you saw the yellow Eldon of Thurston on the pole position. Alongside there, car 36, that is Rob Smith. Then we have Michael Grant, Peterkins, Brabham in 3rd position. Alongside him, Formula Ford legend Stuart Kastenbaum. Must have competed in more Formula Ford races than anybody else. 5th then is the Neil Fowler motorsport car of Brian Morris, ahead of the Nigel Grant run machine of Neil Shinner. Ross Dryborough will go off 7th. Worthing Implant Centre sponsoring these races. We have Roland Svensson alongside. Daniel Pickett is up next in his Merlin, the most popular car in the category. And then the Palliser, the only Palliser on the grid, that's Chris Sharple, former HSCC chairman. Championship chairman is up next, and that is Andrew Mansell. Alongside him will be one of the Mark 8 motorsport machines, that's Chris Stewart. He's driving the car that James Button has raced previously. Alistair Littlewood, he's next. And then we have Tim Bride returning to circuit racing this year after a couple of decades in rallying. Previously raced in categories up to Formula Atlantic. Lee Penson and Kevin Stanzel on the next row, before we see Harvey Sykes in his Crosley, and then the Lotus of Dick Dixon. You saw Dixon alongside Kevin Stanzel. Of course, this grid walk giving drivers a chance to chat while various people have a closer look at the cars. Rob Lamslow's Ringelmann is up next with Andrew Wiggins' Titan alongside. Huge grid, as you can see, as we walk down it. It's not a work of a moment. Rowan Williams is up next. And then we have car 35, which is Michael Rasper. Row 12 is headed by Rudolf Ernst, who's racing a variety of cars this year. This weekend, I should say. And alongside him will be John Slack. Ian Geary, returning to the series as he regularly does at Brands Hatch, is next, and alongside him is Peter Hannum.
I do cause you grief then.
The next row sees car 19, which is Stephen King, and alongside him is 41, and that is Phil Unsworth. Row 15 will complete the top 30 starters. It's the Cooper of Stuart Dix on the inside, and then alongside him it is Phil Nelson. Final 8 cars now, headed by James Lovett, and alongside him is Bill Cowan in the Giannetta. Louis Handel, he's next. Alongside him, team boss Derek Buckton. Then the Mallock, the only Mallock and the only front engine car in this race, that's Alan Cook. Then we have another of the Lotuses, that's Nigel Adams. Alison Langridge, the only female racer this weekend, is up next. And then completing the capacity 38 car grid of Michael Richings and John Emery, we have 50 Formula Fords for 50 years here at Brands Hatch this weekend. The top 26 cars from this heat will join the 12 cars that have already gone into the 5th round of the championship. So this is the heat, a confirmation of the grid on your screens now. As I mentioned, top 26 cars from this race will graduate to the race later on this afternoon here on the weekend of the 50th anniversary of Formula Ford. Tomorrow's races will take place on the 50th birthday itself. The HSCC Superbri here at Brands Hatch being headlined by the historic Formula Ford Championship, and we're expecting 4 cracking races on the Grand Prix circuit here at Brands Hatch. And it's Kevin Stanzel who will provide our first on-board camera for the start of this 20-minute race. 4 races this weekend, and away we go. And there's some drivers that will be able to compete in all 4 races, so it's going to be a busy weekend. It's a good start from Harvey Sykes. It's gone past both Penson and Stanzel into Paddock Hill Bend, but it's Ed first that lead. Michael Grant Peterkin has got the better of Rob Smith to take second, and then the 38-car field flow through the legendary Paddock Hill Bend, and they've all made it through safely. Out of Graham Hill Bend, it is first and then being chased by Grant Peterkin. There's a gap back to Rob Smith developing. Stuart Kestenbaum looking to the inside of him. Then we've got Brian Morris, Neil Shinner, and then Roland Svensson in 7th place. And then a great sight as these cars all flow down the Cooper Straight on this first lap. There's some side-by-side action as Ian Jerry looking to the inside of Rudolph Burns. Behind it side-by-side as well, because Stephen King has gone down the inside of Peter Hannum as the cars head out onto the Grand Prix loop. Great bit of racing track. This is now as we head out to the trees up towards Hawthorns. All fast corners around the back here at Brands Hatch. Commitment really does reward the drivers, because more committed you are, of course, on these cars, you can carry the momentum all the way round the Grand Prix circuit here at Brands Hatch. Drop down Dingle Dell, we go side by side because Stuart Dix has gone down the inside up towards Sheen Curve. And we've had a change for the lead out the back because the Brabham of Grant Peterkin leads Ed Thurston, and look at that, it's about 5-6 cars in the leading group, and the Formula Fords all flow their way through clearways, pretty much all line astern. Great racing out there. There's Ernst and Jerry having a battle, but into Paddock Hill Bend, Ed Thurston's gone back past Grant Peterkin, and yes, it's 6 cars, isn't it, in the lead battle. You've got Rob Smith, Stuart Kestenbaum, Neil Shinner and Brian Morris were all in that battle. We've had a spinner at Paddock, that's John Slack that's gone round. Rudolph Ernst has took to the gravel to avoid him. Stephen King has thrown his car into a spin to avoid the spinner John Slack. Back to the leaders, so heading down towards 30s, and it's still a leading gaggle, being led by Ed Thurston. It's side by side almost for third, because Stuart Kestenbaum, who knows this circuit almost better than anybody, was looking down the inside of Rob Smith. He couldn't find a way through. There's Kevin Stanzel, he's being chased by Lee Penson. That's a good battle also, without Andrew Wiggins not far back. Looking a bit further back, that's Peter Hannum and James Lovett were very much nose to tail. There's Rudolph Ernst, so we'll see him recover, I'm sure. He's got Alan Cook behind, and then Bill Cowing also. Novice crosser, that's Alison Langridge in her car. Back on board we can go with Peter Hannum up towards Hawthorns, and thought he was leaving a bit of room on the inside. That's because James Lovett's gone down the inside. Side by side action up the road as well. It's a great battling throughout the field in this one, as we've come to expect in the historic Formula Ford Championship. Right, leader Ed Thurston getting away. You can see Neil Shinner right on the tail of Stuart Kestenbaum there in the battle for 4th position. Look a bit further back, nose to tail, that's Andrew Wiggins ahead of Lee Penson. Dick Dixon chasing there. Rob Smith's got second away from Grant Peterkin. That's been a change recently. And they can all make it safely through Paddock Hill Bend this time. First and certainly getting away. Rob Smith then second, as we mentioned, ahead of Grant Peterkin. Then we've got Kestenbaum, Shinner and Morris. Gap back to Roland Svensson, then Pickett, Bryce and Freiburg. They got Sharples, Mansell, Stewart, Littlewood, Sykes, Stanzel, Wiggins, Penson, Dixon, Lamslow. Then I think it was Williams and Rasper before Jerry, Dix, Lovett, Handel, Hannum, Then Unsworth, they can battle here. You've got Stephen King, Nigel Adams and Phil Nelson. A bit wide there for Adams, and Nelson's going to come alongside him on the long run down towards Hawthorne. So that's going to be a side-by-side battle heading on to the Grand Prix loop. And ahead of Peter Hannum, there's some Dyson as well. Down towards Westfield they go. I think James Lovett trying to get involved in that as well. But now they all battle through Westfield. Hannum can carry the speed through the corner. Close up to them. They run up the hill, up towards Sheen Curve. Already down at Paddock. Rob Smith going after Ed Thurston. Grant Peterkin down to 4th now. He's up the inside with Stuart Kesselbaum into Paddock Hill Bend. Battle there, that's Chris Stewart and Andrew Mansell running side by side through Paddock. It looked like Stewart had dived down the inside into Paddock Hill Bend. Can Rob Smith catch Ed Thurston? Appears to be the next question. Good battle between Dan Pickett and Ross Driver here. Looks like Tim Bryce has passed Pickett on the most recent lap. Andrew Mansell all over the back of Chris Stewart just behind as well. Let's ride on board with Ross Driver, because he's going around the outside in towards Hawthorns to pass Dan Pickett. A great move that from Driver. Brave stuff to go around the outside at Hawthorne, one of the quickest, most daunting corners in British motorsport. A bit further back into 30, you've got Stuart Dix, James Lovett and Louis Handel, and side by side 41 keeping ahead around the outside. That's Paul Unsworth. It was Stephen King trying to come past him, but he went a bit wide there, kicked up the dust out towards 30, so that's going to harm his momentum down the straight. Now our early leader John Slack appears to be in trouble. Arm out the cockpit and he's peeling off into retirement, as is 39. That's Michael Riching. Back on board with Driver, and now he passes Tim Bryce in towards Clearways. He slides a bit wide, so Bryce is going to cut back underneath him. Bryce, who raced a Merlin Mark 20 in period, back in a Merlin Mark 20 this season, and he's back ahead of Ross Driver. That's a good battle developing then. Bryce, who raced contemporary Formula 4s, as we mentioned, as well as Formula 3 and Formula Atlantic, returning to racing this season and really loving it. He's side by side because Ross Driver is coming back down the inside into 30s, but Bryce carrying the momentum around the outside, a bit of a twitch in the middle of the corner for Driver and a bit sideways. He still was pulling up alongside Bryce, but it's the long run down towards Hawthorne, so it's all about momentum there. Meanwhile, Dick Dixon, he's got ahead of Rob Lamplow, who's having his first race in the category. A bit further back, Louis Handel, James Lovett, but we're going to look even further back because the battle between 41 and 19 continues. That's Paul Unsworth and Stephen King, but a spin. Who's that? That is Paul Unsworth, so that's all gone wrong. But he will be able to rejoin when there's a space in the traffic, and there is so now, so he will turn the car around. Meanwhile, in towards Drury's, and we've had a spinner. That's Neil Shinner out of the leading group. Continues to be Ed first in the lead. Up to second now, though, has come Stuart Kesselbaum, so he's got ahead of Rob Smith. Further back, there's Bryce and Driver. They're having a great battle, more side-by-side action, and even more because Neil Shinner, recovering, goes down the inside of Kevin Stanzel to get ahead. And now he goes ahead up the inside of Harvey Sykes, so Shinner making quick work here as he recovers, tries to pick up as many places. Side by side for third, this is Michael Grant Peterkin down the inside of Rob Smith. Smith carries the momentum around the outside to stay ahead. Meanwhile, Ross Driver down the inside of Tim Bryce in towards 30s. Bryce a bit late on the brake, got right underneath the gearbox of Driver. Now they pull out of the corner and up towards 30s, more battling going on behind. This is now Kevin Stanzel looking to the inside of Harvey Sykes. He couldn't find a way through. Bit of a gap back to our next quartet. That's led by Andrew Wiggins. Lee Penson is behind. Then we have Dick Dixon and Rob Lamplow. So that is a good four-way battle, but in towards Hawthorne. This is the Driver and Bryce battle. Bryce carrying, using all the road, I should say, up the curbs on the inside of the circuit, out the curbs on the outside of the circuit as well. Better speed through Westfield for Driver though. Both these drivers in early Mark 20s. Uncle Sheen curve. Up towards Sterling, the bank left-hander that takes us back towards the Indy circuit. A bit of a twitch in the middle of the corner for Bryce. Peter Hannum there seems to be slowing, so he might be put into retirement, but the battle between Driver and Bryce has closed back in again, so up across the line. Driver not feeling the need to defend too hard in the paddock. Bryce a bit late on the brakes. He found the apex a bit tighter than what Driver had, so Driver has to defend up the hill up towards Druids, and Bryce is late on the brakes again. He tries to come round the outside, but Driver needs to carry the speed well through there, but again on the exit of the corner, can Bryce come back at him? Into traffic now in the battle for second. It's Kestenbaum still ahead. It's Smith and Grant Peterkin behind. Further back, we're on board with Kevin Stanzel here. The car ahead runs out wide. That's Harvey Sykes. So Stanzel will go through on the inside. Just up ahead though, Neil Schiller continuing to work his way through. He's got ahead of 3 cars since we last saw him. Rob Lapslow has had a good lap. He's got ahead of Lee Penson and Dick Dixon. Dixon has also lost out to car 35. That being Michael Rasper. Driver continuing his run through the field. He's just gone around the outside of Roland Svensson or Hawthorne, so liking that move is Driver. And now Tim Bryce dives down the inside into Westfield. That was a great opportunist moment as Svensson a bit slow out the corner after being passed by Driver, and then Bryce surprising him by diving down the inside of Westfield. Not a regular overtaking opportunity. Andrew Mansell's dropped back a bit. He's got Kevin Stanzel all over the back of him. Just before that we saw Peter Hannum exiting the pit, so hopefully whatever his issue was has been solved from a quick pit stop. Ed Thurston, he continues to lead, and he's very much pulling away from the pack now as Rob Smith is back into second. That's a great battle. He's ahead of Stuart Kestenbaum once more. Then in 4th position is Michael Grant Peterkin. Gap back to 5th place, that is Brian Morris. 6th is Ross Driver, and he's certainly pulling away from the cars behind now, and it's Tim Bryce and Roland Svensson still going at it. Bryce has run out wide though, so Svensson should get 7th back. Out of a second into 30s, Kestenbaum re-challenging Smith. Out onto the Grand Prix loop they go. And then we've got 5th place Brian Morris. 6th is Ross Driver. 7th is Svensson ahead of Tim Bryce, and Neil Schiller up to 9th now. It's a whole gaggle for 10th place. They're 3 wide heading down towards 30s. It's Littlewood on the inside, in the middle is Sharples, on the outside is Pickett. Pickett backs out of that, but Littlewood and Sharples run side by side all the way through the corner. It's side by side between Stewart and Mansell as well, and they look like they have good momentum on Dan Pickett. What a battle that is. Andrew Wiggins leads this battle, and Rob Lanslow dives down the inside of Lee Penson. Then we've got the cars of Dick Dixon, and just ahead of him was the car of Michael Rasper. This group of cars just diving down the inside of Peter Hannum up towards Hawthorne. I think that's Dan Pickett ahead of Stanzel, so he lost out both to Mansell and Stewart. Up towards Westfield. It has to be the battle of the race. Absolutely thrilling stuff. Almost side by side at the head of it. In towards Sheen Curve. Hard to tell from here who that is, but Stanzel is going down the inside of Dan Pickett. In towards Sterling. I don't think he made it. I think it's Stewart and Mansell up ahead. So the battling cars a moment ago would have still been Littlewood and Sharples. Through clearways we go. And they're going to go side by side once more on Littlewood and Sharples. I think Andrew Mansell's going to try and get involved in that as well as they head down towards Paddock Hill Bend. Are they going to be 3 wide? Are they going to be 4 wide as Chris Stewart gets involved in that as well? So they go down a gear in towards Paddock Hill Bend, and I think Andrew Mansell has gained a place there. And now he's looking to the outside as they head into Druids. And I think he's gone around the outside there, and Chris Stewart's come through as well. We get an eye on this a bit better in a moment, but first, for second, Michael Grant Peterkin goes down the inside of Rob Smith. Stuart Kestenbaum's gone missing from that battle, and it is Andrew Mansell to the front of this battle with Chris Stewart behind, then Chris Sharples, Dan Pickett, Alistair Littlewood's dropped back, then we've got Kevin Stanzel. Harvey Sykes has dropped off just a touch. Then we have to look at this battle because this changes every lap, but Andrew Wiggins still heads it. It's Rob Lanslow next, then the Michael Rasper car that's coming through nicely, Lee Penson, then Dick Dixon on board with Stanzel around the outside of Littlewood. Up ahead it's Pickett down the inside of Sharples. Pickett's the one that gains a place. Stanzel can't do so round the outside, but he's looking to the inside into Westfield. He also might be defending from Harvey Sykes. Through Dingle up towards Sheen Curve. The only real part of this circuit that's changed in the last couple of decades. Now up towards Stirlings. And then back towards the Indy circuit. A good run there. So side by side up ahead. And who's going to lose a place here? That's Chris Sharples losing out. And side by side into paddock round the outside of Brian Morris. Attempts Ross Driver. So that's a good dice. There is our lonely race leader not getting to do all this battling. That's Ed Thurston in the Eldon. He's got a big lead. Second is now Grant Peterkin. He got ahead of Rob Smith on that last lap, and he's just starting to pull away. Here's that mighty battle behind Harvey Sykes down the inside of Kevin Stanzel. Meanwhile, Ross Driver's gone down the inside of Brian Morris into Surtees. Morris cuts back though, back alongside Driver, squeezes him a touch, but he's got back ahead. Meanwhile, behind, it's side by side as well as Neil Shinner looks to the inside of Tim Bryson, spins. He's going to be in the middle of the track, facing the wrong way before this massive cars find its way through. He did manage to pull out the way, but off the circuit goes Chris Stewart. Andrew Wiggins leads Rob Lanslow, Michael Rasper, Lee Penson in that four-way battle that have just started to pull away from Dick Dixon. What a mighty race this has been, and across the line to take the flag, side by side between Brian Morris and Ross Driver. Wow, what a race. Ed Thurston came out on top by nearly 10 seconds, but it was all happening behind him. Michael Grant Peterkin beat Rob Smith. Stuart Kestenbaum after a spin dropped to fourth. Ross Driver did pip Brian Morris by 46 thousandths of a second. Roland Svensson beat Tim Bryce to seventh. Daniel Pickett won that battle for ninth in the end, beating Alistair Littlewood, Chris Sharples, Neil Shinner, Kevin Stanzel and Harvey Sykes. Andrew Wiggins beat Rob Lanslow to 15th, ahead of Michael Rasper, Lee Penson, Dick Dixon, Ian Geary. A gap back to 21st, that was Stuart Dix ahead of Chris Williams. And then the rest of the finishers on your screen. What an excellent way to start the 50th birthday celebrations of Formula Ford here at Brands Hatch. The historic Formula Ford Championship putting on a real show. So there are 24 runners that headed that race. We'll head back to the paddock, get the cars prepped for round 5 of the championship, which will be coming up very soon indeed. It's a very quick turnaround for these drivers in true Formula Ford fashion. Of course, Brands Hatch hosting the Formula Ford Festival now for over 40 years, and particularly in the 1980s, drivers going through the progression to get to the final had these really quick turnarounds. So that's exactly what the historic Formula Ford Championship will have to do here. Of course, the Formula Ford Festival, when these cars were new, mainly took place at Snetterton, another MSB venue. So Ed Thurston winning that race here, have to start 13th later on, behind our top 12 qualifiers, which was headed by Michael O'Brien and Cameron Jackson. So join us for that, where we'll have more of the same pure, exciting racing from the historic Formula Ford Championship.